Thousands of North Carolina teachers following in the footsteps of other states that have pushed for better teacher pay, an increase in per student funding. We are getting very close to the state capitol. The only thing leading the way are people's headlights. But if we just flip around to the other side of Sugar Creek Road here, you can see not only are these lights working from this plaque on a pillar outside of the entrance gates to the scoreboard just across the field there. The UNC Board of Trustees deciding today that Jerry Richardson's name will stay on this stadium. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police say that an 11-year-old girl was here on the trail at Freedom Park when that jogger flashed her. This is a town that is going to see 2 minutes and 36 seconds of total darkness at the peak of totality, I'm being told in my ear.
It'll never happen again in my lifetime. Yep.
Bringing tears to your eyes.
Oh, it does. It does. It's cool.
It's a Charlotte park that's supposed to be a safe haven. Marielle Ramirez says children and families come here to spend quality time together.
We let our girls kind of run around in front of us, and it's really just a carefree place to be.
That until someone exposed their private parts to a young girl in Freedom Park.
What person will actually come disrespect the park like that, or that kid? Because it could be any one of our kids, you know what I mean?
This police report says it happened sometime between 7 and 9 Thursday morning.
It's just really mind-boggling that would happen.
Charlotte-Mecklenburg police say that an 11-year-old girl was here on the trail at Freedom Park when that jogger flashed her. And it's not clear yet if it was a man or a woman.
That's sickening. I have a 12-year-old, I have a 9-year-old, baby, girls.
Stephon Reed has made visits here with his daughters a daily routine. He says it's disappointing someone violated this popular park.
He definitely had to be a sick individual, you know what I mean? And to pick this park is kind of stupid because police officers, sheriff department.
He says law enforcement will now have a lot more vigilant eyes to help in their search for an indecent exposure suspect.
Actually, we all looking for him. This conversation we had with a couple of parents out here, they see a lot of guys out here.
Meanwhile, Marielle Ramirez planning to keep her girls a bit closer.
As a mom, it's kind of hard to think that you have to be with 10 eyes looking at other people, taking care of your girls, where they're going. And
in South Charlotte, Jonathan Lowe, Spectrum News. Well, thank you, Claudine. In the last 24 hours, we've learned that officer was shot right here near the entrance to CMPD headquarters. And so officials, they can't completely cut off access to this building, but the public is going to be facing some big changes. They won't be able to get into this building day or night, as you can see from that sign there, unless they first buzz and are given access. By all accounts, there was no warning before the gunfire.
Nothing at all.
But once Spectrum News photographer Todd Baldwin heard it,
the first thing that crossed my mind was an ambush.
Earlier in the evening Thursday, and operating on a hunch, officers may track down homicide and kidnapping suspect Jonathan Bennett.
So I was parked in this last parking spot right here. I had backed in so I could see this area where they bring the suspects in.
Around 10:45, CMPD says Bennett also drove into the CMPD headquarters parking lot.
I didn't realize the suspects had been parked right here on the other side of this bush.
Bennett, we're told, then got out and just started shooting at a group of officers standing in the lot. 3-year member of the force, Officer Casey Shue, shot in the leg.
I did not realize the officer had been hit. All I knew that the police officer here was shooting at somebody here.
Baldwin clearly recalls other officers rushing to get her medical attention.
A policeman throwing things out of his car saying, we've got to get her to the hospital, we have to get her to the hospital.
He also remembers the very spot where police eliminated the threat.
Suspect was laying about in this area right here.
Its officers and everyone in that area responded quickly.
Now, Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles and others wanting to ensure this safe space remains that way.
As far as blocking off streets and access to the police department, that's not something that we're considering.
And you're taking a look there at one of several surveillance cameras that surround this parking lot and the CMPD headquarters. It's not clear if any of those caught what happened in this parking lot Thursday night. However, we do know there is body cam video, and we're told by officials that could be released as soon, possibly, as next week. At CMPD headquarters in Uptown Charlotte, Jonathan Lowe, Spectrum News. This mother of a CMS student wanted her identity hidden. School administrators advised her not to make an issue of what her son looked like after school one day this week.
His entire mouth is red, just raw, from him licking his lips all day.
A teacher later sent an email explaining her son's chapstick had been confiscated.
My child's lip moisturizer was considered a medication and that I would need to complete a form.
A CMS medical authorization form requiring a doctor's signature.
I would need to take time off from work, go to a doctor.
And completion of a questionnaire.
When can this student take this medication?
The school's nurse supervisor, she says, later responded to her objections, explaining that chapstick has ingredients to soothe and heal cracked lips and is therefore medication.
It seems to lack common sense.
CMS never responded to our emails requesting an explanation. However, Holly Smith, a pediatrician with Signature Health, tried offering one.
These over-the-counter products get classified as over-the-counter medications in the school's mind.
Dr. Smith says dry skin is more so a side effect of the blustery, bitter cold, not a medical condition.
It doesn't really require a doctor to make the diagnosis of dry skin.
Despite that, she says it's very common to sign these type of forms when it comes to lotions and lip moisturizers.
It takes time out of our day of taking care of patients to have to stop and fill out a form. Some practices will charge for various forms to be completed.
A form this parent is putting her foot down about.
I'm going to get creative. I propose sending him in with olive oil, almond oil, maybe even Crisco.
I did not find any mention of this policy in the CMS Parent-Student Handbook. However, school districts in Cabarrus, Watauga, Stanley, and Anson counties do mention it in theirs. In the studio, Jonathan Lowe, Spectrum News.
Well, we have an update now. More than 700 people voted on this issue. The school decided to draft new guidelines to allow parent permission forms for products such as lip balm and lotions to be used in class.
Thousands of North Carolina teachers following in the footsteps of other states that have pushed for better teacher pay, an increase in per student funding. We are getting very close to the state capitol here in Raleigh after making the trip, leaving very early this morning. Thousands of Charlotte-Mecklenburg school teachers used their leave to come up here, but it wasn't just Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Other districts across our area canceled classes today so that teachers could also take part in today's rally. One of them, Cheryl Virgil, in Gaston County.
Yes, sir. I'm in Gaston County, North Carolina. I'm a teacher assistant in an AU pre-K classroom.
You work with autistic kids, you were telling me.
Yes, sir. I've been working with autistic children for the last 14, 15 years.
And you came up by yourself?
I came up by myself. I left at 4 o'clock this morning to make sure that I got here safely.
And so it sounds like you were really dedicated to taking part in today. Why?
Because I love our children and I love education. And if it was not for education, I wouldn't be standing where I'm standing today. It is because of teachers that I have my degrees.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Certainly something that makes these folks emotional. They're excited, and they're just hoping they get a chance with their state legislator. We'll be following along to see what progress they get. We're live up in Raleigh. Jonathan Lowe, Spectrum News. Back to you.
Someone was shooting, someone was fighting.
Young lives in this East Charlotte apartment complex regularly exposed to crime.
On any given day, they can walk down the sidewalk through their neighborhoods and find trouble.
But after finding a program here at the Albemarle Road Recreation Center called Promise Youth Development.
We go over there now from interacting with the kids. The kids have said, you know, spreading the word. We work with the officers.
You have to take advantage of the opportunity.